time to introduce the panel for tonight's Q&A. First, we have world-class official and published author, Mr. James Beard, and former world-class heavyweight champion and one of the toughest men ever set for Beard Black Bart. If anyone would like to step up to the podium and ask him a question, feel free. The question here is where there's lots of Texas wrestling.
Marc, can you talk about for a second, first kind of wanted you to travel around before bringing back in when you first started? Is that kind of how it was? You got started, he kind of wanted you to travel before he put you in Dallas area. Wanted you to get an experience?
The deal was, I trained, and I got ready for the guy that trained me off that I was ready to go.
On live sound because I'm getting some kind of buzz through the line. Okay, I'll just keep recording everything from one.
I had to go out and make a name for myself. Whatever it may be, he didn't know, and I didn't know what my name was. I was straight all and he would not let me be from Texas. He didn't want me to be from Texas. That's why when I first started out, it was like couldn't be from Texas. I couldn't use the Texas as my home. He didn't want me to do that. And so in reality, I just said, heck with it, and took off on my home.
Yeah, well, the national title, was that when you first used Black Bart's name? Was that right in the national title on TBS? You came in the national title. And did you use the Black Bart name before that?
Yeah, Florida, this road Florida territory, which was the NWA. This road give me Black Bart. Put it on me, he was the booker down there. He started pushing me with combats and we made famous status. They put the NWA World Tag Belts in the match. In reality, we never looked back. I worked with back for 5 years. I was with JJ for probably 6, 7 years. Then I got my back bar, and I went from there.
Pretty important to start in such a strong area as Florida. I mean, to be a strong start in Dallas, Memphis, really strong territories over Graham. Graham was still there. When you were there, Graham was running.
Yeah. Right. Eddie Graham, right after we met, we did the Lord of the Rings in Miami, Florida. So did smack out. Eddie Graham screwed us with the belt. Okay, from the opening match to the very end, he probably cut our pay in half. Before Lord of the Rings, Dusty Rhodes was making the belts and the book. Well, we did that big house, the Lord of the Rings, it was like 90,000 or something.
Yeah, because I think there were 3 of those over the years. We even got it in the house and one of the UFC stations.
Eddie Graham committed suicide. Shortly after that, and he shot himself twice in the head. And I ain't met a man yet that shoot himself twice in the head, but that's what they said. Dusty Rhodes was pulled out and took every star that he made in the Florida territory and back to the Carolinas and went to work for Jim Crockett promotion on the NWA, which turned into WCW out of Atlanta. Yeah. was Booker. I started in Texas territory as Black Bart for the first time. George Scott and me go way back. George Scott and my the guy that trained me was best friends, which was John Shaw. And he wrestled in the 40s and 60s, 40s and 50s at I-IHWE. He dropped the belt in my bag and said, "You're the best I got. You're the champ. You beat Chris Adams in El Paso, and that's it." And I said, "Well, you know, you could at least give me some TV time. You could let me build something up." No.
You came in and hit the ground running. You were champ. That's when the first song you had done.
Put me and Percy Pringle together, which me and Percy was the best friends. I love Percy with all my heart.
And you think, you know, you had Percy because you were already on TBS, so that puts you on a certain level. So you can't really check it, you know.
Right. Oh yeah, I went all the way up to the national belt.
Yeah, doing that trash compactor off the top.
I just went down and stole it. I just took it there, right? I told Dusty Rhodes was Booker when I done that. And I told Dusty Rhodes, I said, "Give me a match with Ric Flair." And I witnessed, you know what? And I never got the chance to get in the ring with him again. So it's funny when you ask questions from jars stuff that I forgot. I forgot. I tried to figure it back.
That's the key. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother.
Anyone else that has any questions for Beard Black Bart? Please step up to the podium.
Black Bart. Is there one match that you got into where you were injured and you saw what I'm going to do?
When in a match that I got injured in?
Yeah. When you kind of gave a little too much and you might have got a little too hurt.
Well, I blew my, I played football for years and years and years. From the 5th grade all the way through high school, Marc University. I never got an injury. Okay, the worst injury I ever had was I twisted one of my ankles. Let's tape it up and just keep on going. When I was in the Louisiana territory, I was Rick Harris, Hangman Rick Harris, and I was in a match. I can't remember who my partner was, but I was in a match against Paul Ellery and the Road Warriors before they were big time. Okay, and their manager Paul he was actually wrestling me. And they were on the ringside. They were at ringside, and I think Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl was on the ringside with me. But Paul Ellery shot me, picked me up, and told me, like, in a side headlock, he told me he was going to drop back. Okay, instead of dropping back, I turned loose to take the bump back. Instead, he's all steroided up and thinks he's Superman and everything else. He just shoots me straight forward. My right leg buggy whips over the top rope like that. And I tore all the cartilage on this side. And they had to help me back. I mean, I couldn't walk. When the scope first came out, I had a scope, and 2 weeks later I was back in the ring wrestling. That's one of the main ones, but as far as one of the most drastic, me and Don Canudo was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I think I was a national heavyweight. I was Mid-Atlantic champion maybe. At the same, we was going to do a crisscross, okay? You know what a crisscross is, both guys are running. Well, he hit the rope, top rope, I hit the top rope at the same time. Now, this is third, fourth match on the card. Place is packed, sold out, do the heel. The rope snaps, top rope snaps. I hook it like you're supposed to, Don hooks it like you're supposed to, he knocks himself out on that side of the ring, and I'm knocked out over on this side. I don't know if y'all remember Earl Hebden, but it was one of Earl Hebden's first matches as a referee, and he didn't know what to do. He didn't know, what do you do? It's a double count. I mean, it's all you can do. Well, Earl's, Dustin sends Magnum PA down in the ring and tells him, count him out. And I wake up in the dressing room, and here again in Fayetteville, you got to go up a flight of stairs to get to that dressing room. I don't remember going up. I remember waking up in the dressing room. Probably as far as not being able, being able to continue from punches and getting this right from near knocked out, it had to be with Blackjack Mulligan, top of that list, and then it's got to be Ronnie Garvin, and then I'll put Ron Bass. Me and Ron Bass had some knockdown dragons, bull rope matches, everything else you can do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How's that? Good.
Rare form.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now being joined by the third member of our panel, the voice of the world class of the newest inductees of the Southern Hall of Fame, Mr. Marc Lowrance. So any questions, please bring them over. Please step up and vote in.
First, I gotta get back to Ryan and Neil reunion.
We have to bring that up, right? I got stories about that match. Scott Casey was loser had to ride the donkey jackass around the ring. It was almost sold out.
Oh yeah, it was reunion arena. It was full.
It was wild. The thing that sticks out, they had that big wooden steps going up to that ring. Well, I let Casey put my hand behind that step and push it up like it was pinned up, and then he drew back and kicked that step. Well, the next night, I had Kevin in a spot show for the world strap. A lot of towns back then, we had to have a visit before we could actually get in the ring and wrestle. Well, the doctor that night was their favorite doctor of Von Eric's, and I had him look at my hand, and he went and told Kevin I had 5 bones in that hand. Go after my right hand. He said, go after that right hand. Kevin come around and, hey boy, the doctor told me you got 5 balls. That's but I was on that ride with jackass around the ring, home house match. Casey was tough, so I had another story about his brother. I'll let y'all ask him.
Are you trying to tell me somebody that Joe Carey Taylor? Yeah, I don't believe that.
Alright. Hello, Marc, I want to say 2 things. Marc, the difference between you and Marc at the same time. On Saturday nights, a slower pace show, 2 out of 3 matches. I think that's right. We feel so comfortable when we see these shows, the hardcore fans days. Because, you were leading us on this roller coaster, the storytelling. It's a slow
Well, things happen fast. As you can see, even in what we're experiencing here. And you need to pay attention with whatever your position is, whether you're the referee, the wrestler, the announcer, or the sports staff. And it is a pickle. And sometimes it's better to beg for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. So what that is, he says he's in trouble, get up there and do something. Even if it's wrong, try something. And pulling those ropes are not going to work because they were twisted and that's where they were tight. So the answer is to grab him literally by the feet and turn him back up through the air around to reverse what had happened. And so that happened so fast, it was just like that. That's like getting caught on the back of that little butcher ringside. That wasn't anticipated. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And as I said, was Abby. And that's happened fast.
I want to have one question I got. Marc, in about a year and a half before the next monitor was even created, at least twice on TV, it was referred to as the next monitor. Do you think there was a possibility of in 80 and 84, not sure Mike how it's going to do, but when he cuts it in? Because Michael Hayes mentions it all there, and I don't care who it is, and Kevin Terry, or Lance on there. And he's saying this in May of 84. It was October of 85 before we had. Do you know, can you remember anything about that?
I remember very little, except Joe and Ellie. I don't know if you all remember Joe. Joe was a stockbroker in Fort Worth who lives way back in Fritz. In fact, Joe had been involved in Fritz's purchase of the Ed McElmore area and sweeping things out with Ken Moore and his wife Elizabeth to help make the Metroplex be what it turned out to be. So Joe was a great friend and a wealth of knowledge, and he explained this Waldo area, which had not started long before I ever heard Joe see Marc, and maybe never better than I. But this land seal was a product as they reinvented the Waldo area. Because Fritz's brother or something before I was Fritz. We all talk about this show, but Fritz was just a worker. Before we took over the territory, he told Waldo, he said, I'm going to be clean now. You Waldo will never be clean. They lie. And you're done. Pretty much. I'm fired. Brother, to the point that I'm concerned that they will really put a brother. That's where the business was concerned. They were brothers. I made a trip to the party, and Waldo was sitting in the dressing room, and they had this team seal with Waldo on there, and they were brothers. So they got to get their mind down there. I mean, fighting in the dressing room. That was Waldo.
When you think of Waldo, you think of Waldo as up north while Fritz was down south. Waldo, went up.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the Fritz was a huge star before he came back and took over. And at some point, I grew up in the Northeast, and that's where he had Waldo. And he had to pay Waldo at the time, and they were having very successful.
Give me my hands.
When Fritz came back here, he was the same way, and at some point he had to make a change.
Yeah. You don't see Waldo in any of the programs past maybe 66 in Dallas. I have tons of the Dallas programs. You see Waldo there, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't see it later on.
Well, he actually, if you go back and watch or look at the history of it, and if I remember this right, I'll get things messed up, but he actually brought Waldo in as his tag team partner in Texas, and that's when Fritz started kind of changing his image also, and he and Waldo were working against Gary Hart's guys, Spoiler and Black Jack Mulligan and those guys, and that relationship stayed, I guess, intact for a long time. And when they brought Lance in, and they needed another guy to kind of carry the torch, and he was the guy that they chose.
When Lance made a trip to South Africa and never come back.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a long sordid story.
Me and Bill Irwin went over there. We called it, when we went to South Africa, me and Bill Irwin as a tag team, we called it the Looking for Lance Von Erich tour. Though, you know, he was over there. He had a wife and family here, but he got another one over there.
Yeah, I actually still hear from him once in a while. He lives on an island somewhere.
Yeah, there's a picture on the internet with him, you know, with these parrots all over him. A recent picture, last 5 years and stuff. But I guess, you know, the idea was that, you know, he was mentioned a year before creating him. But anyways, I wanted to move on to another question. Can I let somebody slide in here? Or you mean to keep going? I'll keep going. Marc, I wanted to ask you about the fact of what you thought when you first heard that we were not going to have the traveling world champion Ric Flair coming in. There's going to be a company champion every week. We know the excitement that the traveling champion Ric Flair would bring, or a Harley race coming into the area. What was your first thoughts when they said, we're dropping it, we're going to have our own champion? They put belt on Rick Rude, became the champ. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was no surprise. That was the period that the business was changing and entering new territory, because for all those years you had the regional territories and the regional promoters, and they all had their television, and television was pretty local. But when Channel 11 went up on the satellite and the syndication started, and for people who don't understand what that means, in those days before digital stuff that we have now, it was a big oversized cassette in a big plastic box that these stations subscribed to, and they could play that show whenever they wanted to. 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sunday, Tuesday, whenever. So for the first time, you saw somebody else's promotion seen in somebody else's territory, and that had never happened. And that was what began the change.
And the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end for the world that we knew, which selfishly I wish still existed, because some of these great young guys that I'm getting to meet and be with just don't have the opportunities that were present then, because the big fish ate up all the little fish. Well, anyway, back to your question. People had been urging Fritz to be more aggressive with his promotion and run cards in other areas of the country. And for a variety of reasons, some of which were religious, some of which were ethical, some of which were relational, Fritz just wouldn't do it. And there was great contention amongst the ranks. Talent was beginning to be lured away. So when that finally happened, it was the first step in what might have been the promotion becoming more aggressive. As we know, history became history. So I wasn't surprised when it happened.
Had to be done. Had to be done. Gotcha. Does anybody? Just want to make sure. Sure, jump in.
I'll do one for right now. I'd like to ask all the little kids to kind of leave the building right now, and I'd like to hear your best Freebird stories.
Say it again.
Say it again.
I didn't hear you.
Without the mic. Without the mic.
I said, I'd like to send all the kids out of the room, and I want to hear the best Freebird stories you got.
Oh, man. You got to send all the women out, too.
You sure you want to hear that?
Oh, yeah.
He said, honest.
I need to go to the restroom. You all talk first.
Mine is about the restroom. Go ahead.
Marc's profession won't let him talk about that. Those guys were nuts. I mean, they were what you saw for the most part. They had a lot of fun. There's no question about that. And if you knew all of them, they're great guys, but they didn't know how to have fun, and they weren't afraid to show it in public either.
they considered it an initiation for a greenhorn. If the Freebirds in the territory, you went in that territory as a greenhorn, a guy just starting the business, they would wait till you get in the shower and they would go in there and give you a golden shower. And you know what I'm talking about, the golden shower. Another, at the Sportatorium again, Terry Gordy, we was just talking about this last night. There's a little bitty toilet in there, and then right next to the toilet is the shower. And in that shower, it's got a pallet. And underneath that pallet is green stuff growing up out of there. But Terry went in there and I'm going to take a poo, okay? And he come out holding it in his hands like this right here, holding it. And he chased every son of a gun out of that dressing room trying to show him that was you. You had to be there, James. And it was, I said, Terry, please don't come at me with that. And he come anyway, and I got up running like, just like all the rest of them.
I can't believe you're even telling that story.
But there's some more. I can't. I'm trying. There's no way you can clean them up. We had a deal. It was called the Fish Club, Sink or Swim. That means you either drink or drown. And Terry was the president of that club. We would be running up down the highways. They would buy bottles of Jack Daniels. Terry's favorite was Jack Daniels. Them things, when you're going down the road, you try to crush them on the side of the road, throw them down and make them bust. And you could be going 90 miles an hour. Then sometimes them things don't bust; they just bounce, brother. Well, it was one of the things to finish that bottle and try to break it. And they would take turns on seeing which one could break it. I mean, stuff like that.
Nice, clean Southern boy. Yeah.
But Terry Gordy was probably one of my bestest buds. I was with him out in Pensacola. Pensacola territory was one of the best territories you could ever work for, but Terry would come out there and he had a minivan. And that bridge going over the Gulf Breeze, the old one, they cut the middle out, and you could go out on either end. You pay $1.75 for 24 hours, and he'd park his van out there, and that's where he stayed when he was in the territory. You could fish. They had a beer wagon come around selling beer. They had a food wagon come around. He got food off of. They had a bait wagon come around. And that's where he stayed. But Terry Gordy was my bestest friend, my bud, or one of them. If you can have friends in this business, he was probably one of the closest ones I ever come along. And he done some stuff to me when I first started too. But I'm not telling that. I'll tell you in my book.
Three birds.
The stories about Bam Bam and Hayes and Buddy Roberts, who is just a delightful character, are probably those best left for another time. But I will say to you that I have great respect for those three guys, because things changed quickly when they came to the Dallas office. Gary Hart was the booker and made the deal for the Freebirds to come here, and it was a big step for them. And no sooner than they got here and got going, Gary was gone. And you have to understand, Gary was fiercely loyal to a fault, though those people he trusted. And Gary expected that loyalty from those he trusted in return. And Gary was very embarrassed and put off and hurt by a payoff from that first big Star Wars show, and it's hard to fault him for having that. Gary had worked hard and made a lot happen, and so much priority was given to the Von Erich boys, not enough credit was given to the other talent. Now that's the gospel according to Marc with the C. I could be wrong, but I thought much of our success was from the other great talent we had. And Gary left, and Ken took over. character he was distracted. He was doing, and then after that, smiling and telling that he's 100% correct in what he says, because he has every right to say.
That was, I think, maybe his perfect day. We got together. They complimented each other in so many ways. Michael was out. He was the flashy one to get all the talking and strutting around and that kind of thing. He was very good at it. And Terry was enforcing and he was hard right. What a sweetheart of a guy. He was a great friend. And Buddy Jack was the technician. And they did it all. You could put three guys together and be better than they were. And it was always that good and put in the right situation and move this territory all the sky high. And you can't stand up, but I'm a big free birthday.
We was at a little spot with a little buddy, where your buddy was managing the small
Rakishi.
This is a little spot show, they get there, they're supposed to be there at 6, they get there at 7:30, 8 o'clock. But, buddy, trying to be able to put stuff in his mouth. So, buddy, he was that's walking around chest high. Okay? And I guess buddy had a few years to run through. Because one of the Sammy told me something. And buddy turned around with only buddy to do and spit a lot of stuff right between the big man's face. And just roll down the mornings that I needed. And here's the thing that says, buddy, do not spit water out of me and down in Sammy put the ground and he nailed buddy and knocked buddy's old. He looked around the room and said, no, wait there, it's going to be up until it's time for us to go to work. And brother, there ain't nobody touched it. Nobody touched that man. There you go.
Buddy, they had the deal where he had to wear the headgear. And he would look at you with that freaky look and say, the doctor said, every way and every day I'm getting better and better.
I have a question for Mark. How has the years of before you were in the ministry, how did doing your wrestling affect the ministry? I mean, how did it prepare you for where you are now? How did those steps lead you to where you're at now? I mean, I always remember every week, go to a church of your choice. I was like, wow, that's different.
Well, we had a question earlier about the difference in the flavor of the two shows. The syndicated show of Dallas was rural, fast-paced, no deal with local stuff, no day anything. The Channel 11 show was different. It was rolling leading spot shows and everything was taken. And even though the syndicated show challenged Channel 11 to up their production standards by adding a ring camera, the third camera, and all of that, it still had a faulty air to it. We marketed that because that's where we were going for the metroplex and surrounding areas. And so those years taught me a lot about how to relate to people. I remember Chris told me after I worked with TV for about 6 months, he said, Mark, it's not great out there, it's really terrible. Go look in the mirror. You're nervous and you're trying so hard that you have no expression, no animation in your face.
I'm sure you had a bunch of challenges also as a Christian in that kind of industry, which is Wild West in a lot of ways. Can you give a couple examples of like where you were just challenged because maybe one of the boys wanted you to hang with them, or just something that...
I found my 10 years to be with good human beings. Just like old Terry Gordon, loud, rough, bullying. He was a sweet, fine guy who needed friends just like we all did. The promoters I worked for were honest, they paid on time, they paid fairly, they didn't play games. They were good people, so I didn't have any conflict with that. The only issue I had was I was pastor in my first church and still doing some work. Some of the things that they would see on Saturday night would get brought in on Sunday morning. And Jared, along the motion and have a little after, we got Harold Harris, who's good, very athletic, very acrobatic, and Harold was kind of heel effort. And one guy stood up in the announcements at Sunday worship in front of 100 people in a little country church, and he didn't have prayer concern. He said, I don't know what you're going to do about that GD and calling the N-word referee. And there was a hush that fell over that sanctuary. And that's when I began to think maybe Marc is time to transition out.
That would probably be a good sign, yeah.
Dylan, thank you for being here today. I appreciate that. Like a lot of people, like a lot of fans, probably the... Oh, is that working? Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you being here. Like a lot of the other fans, probably my favorite memory as a small kid was that first David Hunter Memorial thing in the stadium where Super Carry Hunter and Flair for the belt. Personally, we all have memories of that day, that wonderful day. I was hoping maybe I was speaking to one of your own personal memories, thinking about that day, and what your memory was about it.
Well, it was a real experience for me, because that was receiving, taking. Bill Mercer was around. But Bill had many commitments in Northwestern University football, basketball, down to things. I was way too big to make, but we knew we said, thanks to Bill, we be there. And Britt said, okay, we'll use Marc. And so it was a tremendous thrill to get to do the TV all the way to the convention, regardless of what happened. Just to get 35,000 people there, and all the stuff that I did on our tragedy were making a dance. So I was high as a kite. And anyone could have done good TV back then, just to be electricity in the air. So that's what I remember. And I just, it's that I was a nobody who didn't know anything about the business. The guys loved me, accepted me, and helped me learn how to do it. And that opportunity I had to me, all I do is say thanks.
I was at the next one.
Cotton Bowls are where I've seen you may have been with the belt at the top. Yeah, that was the 88. Yeah, 88.
It was the second memorial. I was always in the David session. But I met David out in Atlanta. He goes in and out. He's going to let me meet for a while. I'll be right there. And he broke with the boys. They were still alive. And then we get here for the show here. I still do that all hard.
come to this territory because of the things that happen anymore. Talk about how that resonates with other territories.
After the conversation that I had with Rick early in my career before I was out, it was, to me, I didn't really want to go back. I didn't want to go back here, more especially after the three birds on their view and territory blue sky. I had myself go back to the front of the belt.
Hazard?
That's something that John Keane he was one part of Blackstone back then, and it's just like he had to take next to him, and but as far as other than just I wanted to practice in my home, at my home, and just practice. I didn't want to belt or anything like that. I just want to be able to come home, be able to practice, make it strong, and that's it. Everybody else I got, practice on the head, brother. Rich made me real. Of course, he called me one night and said, Mark, we got to go there and wrestle back. And I said, I know Rich. He said, well, you don't go wrestle back in the Dallas Convention Center and just bring that belt to my office and drop it off. And go back to me. I said, what time do you need to be there wrestling back? That's the kind of how it works.
Mark, you're good friends with Mike Davis. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, an underrated guy here in Dallas, a real entertainer. Did that go back to Florida years?
Before Florida, Mike Davis was jobs, okay, in the Carolinas. I wasn't that Mike in 79, even I was in the Florida, Mike Davis, become my business friend, his wife, and his family. We stayed together, lived together. Probably was nice great brother. Mike Davis and we were closer than brothers. He packed. When I come home, the first time, he packed his stuff. And like the next week, he was enrolled in the school. That's where I live. The community where I live out of Canton, and I said, what are you doing here, Mike? So I fixed to buy a house over there, and I'm going to go next. Brother, you're more than welcome. That's great. Yeah, me and Mike Davis, just the other day on Facebook, and take his jumping board, had a picture of Mike on Facebook, and it said, underneath Mike's name, it said, way too young. And I wrote something on there.
Can I say something about Roger real quick? You know, it's really strange that Richard Brody.
What about the friends with Frank?
Yeah. Tell me, I know there's something there.
Yeah, we were very, very, very good friends. I wrestled him actually. He was a River Jack. He lost the match in Paula, losing Texas, and come back with that white mask. Same jump, same moves. He would knock your butt down and they could raise the hood and shit like they didn't know already. But raise it up, the crowd was going to pull the mask back down. But me and Frank had a deal to see if I could knock him out or he could knock me out. We moved furniture around, we moved buzzing tables, we done our dead guns, knock each other out, big cheers, and go back to the dressing room and back off.
That's old school.
Yeah, and anybody else would hit me that hard, I would have to raise the back of the dressing room. I wouldn't say that. But Frank, it was really working on me. Frank's hit me one way, and that's what he said to back. He knocked the head, that's what he wanted to back. If you did, the butt movement was very long.
I'm jumping around before we're wrapping up. Marc, tell me how much prep you had to do for a unkind taking. Was Gary hard? Can you tell them? You give me the notes of which, this is where we're making the angle. I'm sorry.
Bruiser was a professional wrestler all the time. He lived business. He never washed the garments he wrestled in. Night after night after night. You can imagine, you could smell him 40 feet away. His back was part of his persona. Bruiser, ugly, gross, dirty, rough, tough. That was his image. He was as serious a professional as anybody had. He was a bright fellow, good businessman, and he cared for me. When he became his friend, he had a friend. I remember one night he came, this is before he wrote the stuff, and he put his arm around me, and he said, Marc, you're still a young man. You got a lot of life in it. Let me give you some money advice. And Bruce witnessed too much. He said, don't ever put yourself in a position where you waive the right to say, and use the F word, F you. And I processed that, and when you think about it, it's coarse language, but it's very profound advice. And Bruce really had to all these things. And it cost him a little bit, but Bruce went on being God, being who he was.
That's going to be a contrast of people. When he was on one side, he was that animal everybody saw, and the other side, he was incredibly, just very down to earth, and like Marc said, he was his friend, really his friend. He had a way of saying that I can imagine how you had to be creative to learn how to say that in a Christian manner. But that that's what he knew. I mean, he felt like he was his own guy. He had to take care of himself, he had to take care of his family, and that's what he did. He did what he had to do that. And I respect that a lot.
Last thing before we finish the preparation is a twofold answer. Much of the preparation was done because you knew what had happened the previous week. You've been there. We're continuing that. So in some ways you're ready. The specific nights, we sat down before the events with promoters and bookers and went through the television card, what we needed to achieve, what we needed to get across, and we changed the 30 minutes to take notes, to pay attention, and then you're good to go. And occasionally they take you aside between matches and say, be aware of, watch this, so you're good to go. Thank you, run, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, James,
I read your book, loved it. I wasn't aware that you went to Japan and, you know, did some refereeing there. You mind expounding a little bit on that? Because, I mean, that's very different than, you know, obviously the Sportatorium.
Yeah, I was very lucky, and I got to know Marc, got to talk about it. Actually, this guy right here, and he, Marc, he what happened, and did, and that gave us an opportunity. From that, it turned into several years of working in Japan, going back and forth. But I think I had to go back home and put on the spot for a quarter, so I was very fortunate that I really had my career to work on that. I love working in Japan, it was an incredible experience, and I like the style, and the way that they came over there, the way they bring it to the for me, that was a highlight of my career.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to end our Q&A with the legends of the Dallas Sportatorium. Who is that?